Okay, so I have spent my entire adult life, like at least 25 years technically, accumulating crap. Like literally just I've spent all of this time accumulating stuff. I've been wasting time and money and energy. So now I've decided that I'm going to spend my time getting rid of stuff. If you've been watching my channel, you know I'm on this huge journey to declutter. I've done a massive declutter of this closet. I did a declutter of my bedroom. I've decluttered my kids' room. I've decluttered my laundry room, but I have so much more to go. And a lot of times when I am decluttering and I'm still kind of thinking if I want to keep something, I will confess, stick it in my attic or stick it in my basement. Where I live, it's not easy for me to put my stuff in the car and like leave it in the car so that I can take it to the donation place. Unfortunately, my car would get broken into if I did that. So I have to leave things in my home and I have to put it in the car as soon as I'm going to take it. And that's just another excuse of why I haven't donated it, because I have a ton of stuff that still needs to be donated. And it just takes time. It's just time and effort, and I need to make a focused effort to do it. I make a lot of videos giving tips and tricks, and maybe there'll be some nuggets in this video, but I thought I would kind of just like share my clutter story and where I'm going and why I'm doing it. And maybe that will give you some good decluttering motivation and inspiration. I think decluttering is like one of my least favorite activities to do. I would rather do like a ton of cleaning than decluttering. But the thing is, the decluttering has the most benefits of anything that you could do. You will get the most out of it. When I left home, I went to college. I lived in a college dorm. Then I had a bedroom in an apartment. And then I had another bedroom in an apartment. And then I met my husband. And we moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. And before I met him, I actually had lived in a studio. And every year, you know, I was moving pretty regularly, so I wasn't able to accumulate a lot of things. I didn't have a ton of things. We ended up buying this 2-bedroom apartment, and of course, it's bigger, so we needed to furnish it, and we needed to buy new things, and we needed to fill it up. You buy a bigger house to fit all of your stuff, and then you outgrow that house, so you buy an even bigger house to fit all of that stuff, and it just keeps going, right? We had our first baby in that condo, and it was great. But we decided when we were going to have our second kid, we decided, well, we need to move into a house because we need more space. So then we moved into a 3-bedroom house where we currently live. And since then, we've had 2 more kids. If you have kids, you know the amount of stuff that comes with kids is just astonishing. If I could go back and tell my former self, like, you do not need all of that stuff. Kids grow out of things so fast. So not even the clothing, but also the toys. You will buy a toy for them that's like labeled for like 6 months old, and not only will they not like it in like a month because they'll get bored, but 3 months later they'll be like well beyond that toy and they won't even be playing with it. I can think of very few toys that kids will use forever. I also accumulate stuff from family members. You know, my parents have moved and then they've got boxes of my childhood stuff that they give me. I also have other family members who have given me things and they just kind of want to pass it down. And I've just accumulated a ton of things. My attic is so full. It needs so much decluttering work. Not only is it full of toys and decorations and decor, it's also full of like old skis and sporting equipment, just things that you accumulate over your lifetime. It's almost like you spend 40 plus years accumulating things, and then you need to spend the other 40 plus years, if you're lucky enough to have those 40 plus years, the second half of your life, getting rid of things. Also need to declutter my basement. Again, full of kitchen items, books, CDs, like electronics, technology. Okay, so now on to the inspiration part. And if you know, I've done some videos on Marie Kondo, so I do kind of like the teachings in there. I think it's a little bit too strict because, again, I'm not a minimalist. I do think there's some great minimalist principles and I want to follow them as much as possible. I think that they're really helpful in thinking about what to keep, what to save, and what to do. But it's just not like the kind of lifestyle I could live in, because I can't just have like the essentials and nothing else. So I think minimalism is like a full lifestyle isn't really going to be something that I would want to do. But I have been learning a lot about essentialism, And a lot of people define essentialism in different ways, but it's basically kind of curating your life for the things that you deem are essential. So it's really subjective, and you decide what's essential for your life. And it's not restrictive, because the thing I really don't like about minimalism, as you can see, I'm in my closet and I've got a lot of clothing, and I love clothing, and I love, having different outfits and wearing different things. But in minimalism, you hear a lot of talk about capsule wardrobes and only having like 5 white t-shirts and 5 black t-shirts, and being able to make 30 outfits from those 10 t-shirts. And you can only have 5 pairs of shoes. I'm being dramatic, but it's not something that I think I can just really wrap my head around. So I really need to focus on, what do I deem essential, but without being crazy, because I still want my home to be organized and I do not want it to be cluttered. I recently read an article which I really kind of struck me, and it said that it's common for a cluttered home and messy financial health to go hand in hand, and that clutter is the result of unmade decisions and procrastination. And that really hit the nail on the head. That is exactly why I still have these cluttered areas of my home. I'm procrastinating and taking it to the donation place. I haven't made the decision even in some cases if I do want to donate it. And I'm also procrastinating because I just don't want to go up there and do it. And I don't want to go in the basement and do it. And I feel like I don't have the time. But I do have the time. I just need to make that time. And again, back to KonMari, because this is actually a KonMari principle. And the idea is, as you're kind of getting rid of things and as you're deciding what to keep, you're identifying a vision for your stuff and a vision for your life. And then that vision is supposed to penetrate into your entire existence. Getting rid of clutter is really, really going to impact your life for the better. I also have read a lot about the Clutter Gene, and I'm not too sold on the fact that there's a Clutter Gene. What I actually think is that you kind of learn this concept of hanging on to things at a very young age, and then you never stop doing it. And you just keep that behavior with you as you grow into an adult. I'm not talking about compulsive hoarding. I mean, that's an actual condition, and what I'm really talking about is kind of like that everyday hanging on to clutter. I also find it interesting, I read an article that men are more apt to hang on to clutter than women. And one of the things I notice even with my own husband is he rarely buys things for himself, yet he never gets rid of anything either. The other thing about my husband is he is a product of communism. He grew up in communist times and really had that scarcity mentality. And so when you got something back then, you held on to it. If you saw a certain thing in the store, you may not see that again in the store for a month. So you buy it and you hang on to it even if you don't need it, and you just keep it forever. Another thing that I think is important as you're thinking about decluttering is to figure out what kind of clutterer you are. There are lots of types, and there's lots of videos that can kind of explain how to declutter your life depending on what kind of clutter style you have. You can be a sentimental clutterer, or perhaps you're a fashion clutterer, or maybe you're an electronics and technology clutterer, or a paper clutterer. Also, backups. I like to get backups for everything. And then there's lots of people who have the just in case clutter. So identifying those types of clutter and figuring out which one you are, or maybe you're a combination of many, because I know I am. I definitely keep things just in case. I definitely am sentimental. I certainly have the backups. I really don't feel comfortable if I don't have backups of products I use. But again, this is all just like clutter mentality. As I learn more, I will talk about it and share my experience with it. I think that we're kind of all on this journey, whether we know it or not. You may be in that beginning stage where you're accumulating things. Maybe you're in the other stage where you're getting rid of things, or maybe it's completely reversed for you. Everybody's different. But I do think that this clutter can really affect us poorly. It affects everyone who is living in that cluttered state. I promise you will be seeing videos in the coming year of me uncluttering my attic and uncluttering my basement and getting rid of things. The good thing is, I think a lot of things that I have are in great shape to be donated, so I don't feel as bad getting rid of them. I don't like selling things as much, because that's, again, just like another thing that you have to do that kind of gets in the way of what you're doing. I almost have this policy where unless I can sell it for like $50 or more, it's not even worth it. I also use the website Trash Nothing a lot. You can put stuff on there and then your neighbors will come and pick up your stuff for free. I have done this many, many times, and it's really helpful. even if you think that you should just throw it away, a lot of times people are looking for these items. So check that out. That's my sort of story and how I got to this place of having these cluttered areas in my home, and I'm on this journey to declutter. I hope that you'll come with me. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video, hopefully with less clutter. Bye-bye.